everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel. I am Dr. Ashwati. Students, in this lecture, I am going to discuss about J.S. Mill or John Stuart Mill. He is one of the most important political thinker associated with that of modern liberalism, and he is also associated with the concept of positive liberty as well. John Stuart Mill, an English thinker, and he is considered to be one of the most prominent thinker from the perspective of the way how he was ahead of his times, because he wrote immensely about representative democracy. He spoke about rights for women as well as various other things which are like, we can call him as like a kind of a figure who questioned the conservatism. He also made a graduation from that, or we can say that a transition from that of negative liberty to that of the positive liberty. I have already discussed about negative liberty and positive liberty in one of my earliest classes, like the negative liberty, which only like it meant like, or the classic idea was that there should not be any sort of restrictions in the activities of the individuals. But when there was a shift towards the positive liberty, it spoke about, yes, there are certain areas where state intervention is necessary to protect the rights of others as well. So, John Stuart Mill, he was born in 1806. It means that he lived through the 19th century in London as the oldest son of the Scottish historian James Mill. And let me tell you, throughout life, J.S. Mill received homeschooling. His education was supervised by his father, James Mill, as well as by the famous utilitarian thinker, Jeremy Bentham. If you remember, Jeremy Bentham is associated with the classic idea, and that is greatest happiness of the greatest number. It means that the happiness of those, let's say that the happiness of the greatest number, it had a quantitative meaning to it. Okay. But yes, J.S. Mill later on criticized his mentor itself, Jeremy Bentham, and he brought forth the idea of qualitative happiness as well. In 1827, he began working for the British East India Company and continued to work for the company for next 3 decades. It was during these years that he wrote many of his famous works. I will definitely mention about the famous works. And from 1865 to 1868, J.S. Mill was a member of the British Parliament, and being an MP of British Parliament, he did advocate the rights for women as well. Now, these are his major works. Let's start from the beginning. A System of Logic, published in 1843. Principles of Political Economy, 1848. On Liberty, which is one of the most important work, published in 1859. Considerations on Representative Government, published in 1861. Then An Examination of Sir William Hamilton's Philosophy, 1865. The Subjection of Woman, published in 1869. Autobiography, published in 1873, and 3 essays on religion, published in 1874. Now, I have marked stars over here, 2 works of J.S. Mill. It is because these 2 works were published posthumously. Now, students, as I have already mentioned in all my previous lectures, that you should make a note of all the major works of any political thinker. Keep a separate page for the same, put them in a chronological order, because there is a high potential that such questions may be asked in the examination. So, you should be ready to deal with such questions. And I have already mentioned that UGC-NET, the way they ask the questions, it is based on the objective understanding. Like, they ask more factual questions. So, it is very necessary that you should make a note of all the major works in a chronological order as well. So, students, I hope so you people are making note of all these. Moving to my next, basic tenets. Like, what are the basic ideas propounded by J.S. Mill? On liberty is one of the most important one, And as I have mentioned here that he has published his work on liberty in 1859. So he has spoken about three types of liberties. Like first is the liberty of thought and expression. This is one of the most important element. He has mentioned about the idea that you cannot silence anyone. He, like, I'm just paraphrasing his statement that if all mankind minus one is of one opinion, that one person, if that person is given the power, then that person has the capacity to silence all other people, the whole mankind. So he considered that the freedom of thought and expression is one of the most cardinal principle or cardinal value that every other human being should be entitled to. Because when we have the option of freedom of thought and expression, it is going to provide us with lots and lots of opportunities. It helps not just in choosing the work what we wish to do, but it is all about like doing whatever we wish for. It dwells into the idea of self development, self mastery. It is also about like developing yourself, like, okay, I love painting, so I should be allowed to do so. Let me speak my words, let me express my thoughts, because it is going to give me happiness. As you know that he questioned the utilitarian principles of Jeremy Bentham, because he said that Jeremy Bentham was of the opinion that was greatest happiness of the greatest number. He provided a quantitative analysis of happiness, but he spoke about the qualitative happiness. He is not leaving any person behind, like, okay, the majority is of one opinion, let's not think about the minority. No, he wanted to give option, or let's say that opportunity to each and every other individual in a society. So that is the first option. Then second one is the liberty of action. Here he created a distinction between two kinds of action. One is the self regarding action, and second one is the other regarding action. So what is the difference between these two? Self regarding action, let's say, if a person A, let's take an example, like a person A is a person who is into alcohol consumption. If that person is consuming, this is just an example, if that person is consuming that alcohol within the four walls of a room, that person has taken the decision to consume alcohol on his own. Alcohol is, if it is like, like it is not, he is not using anything which is an illegal substance. Okay. So let's say that he is like drinking, or let's say smoking, whatever it is. Okay. If that person is doing it on his own without hurting anyone, that is the self-regarding action. The action which you have taken, it has the potential to cause a reaction only to you. It is not going to have impact on others. This is the self-regarding action, where he said that the state intervention is not necessary because this is about you. Let's say that you are a good painter and you love painting. So you are making paintings on canvas, on white, on paper, whatsoever, that you are actually using your own resources. But let's say that a person, he is a good painter, but he is not having the authority to make graffitis on the public walls. If that person is found to be doing that, it means that that person is actually spoiling that wall itself. So you are not supposed to do that. If let's say another option, or let's another example, let's take another example like that. If a person has consumed alcohol and she is driving a car, this is not allowed. Here the state intervention is necessary to forbid that person. Why? It is because if that person uses that car, or that person is involved in driving, there is a high potential under the hallucination that person can cause harm to others and it may hurt others. That is the other regarding action. It means that your action which has a kind of a consequences on others. let's say like that, let's take an example like that, like your action may have a negative consequence on others or negative reaction on others, then the state has the right to make an intervention here to stop you from doing so, so as to protect the rights and liberties of others. So this is the cardinal value under here, the other regarding action. Now, the third one is the liberty of association. He is speaking about an idea that yes, each and every person should have or should participate in the electoral processes and various other civil society groups, etc. Why it is necessary? Because it is going to develop your mental faculties. When you are part of the system, when you are part of that democracy, then it is going to be beneficial for you itself. When you are part of government, let's say that citizen like we these days we speak about the citizen participation in the governance, etc. He was ahead of his times. Even in the 19th century, he spoke about the necessity for liberty of association, that you should be made part of certain associations, you should participate in various public sphere like programs, etc., because it is going to develop your mental faculties. And this he considered that this is very important one for the development of a kind of a good citizen. As well as being a good citizen, then you will be doing good for the society itself. So these are the three basic liberties spoken, or as per they regarded by J.S. Mill as the important ones. First is the liberty of thought and expression. Second is the liberty of action, and third is the liberty of association. Now on representative government, he supported the representative government. Why? Because he was of the opinion that this is just an extension of his liberty of association itself. When you are participating in electoral processes, then you take an interest in your things. Like, okay, when we are voting, we not only think about us only, like, okay, if I vote for this political party, then it is going to do something good for the society. We actually think not just about us, but we think in terms of the greater good as well. So he while discussing about the representative government, like he promoted the representative government, he also advocated universal adult franchise as well. But yes, with certain limitations were there. Like proportional representation, he said that the best method for voting is the proportional representation. He supported the plural voting, and he supported the Hare system of proportional representation, and he also opined for the open ballot, although this is bit tenseful. But yes, he also spoke about that he made a bit categories, like those people who are very intellectually, like they are in a very big positions, or let's say that they are big professionals, etc. Their vote should have more weightage than the votes of other members that he has mentioned, because he believed that the people who are at the, let's say that who are big professionals, they know how to vote for the best candidate, like that. So, and he has put a kind of a voting right restriction on those people who are actually not paying taxes, or who are actually living on the state support, etc. He has made certain restrictions, like, okay, these people should not be provided with the voting rights. The voting rights were prohibited for those people who are not paying taxes, and those people who are actually at the state support. So this is the idea of representative government, which is closely associated with this idea of liberty of association, because he believed that by the liberty of association, you are actually promoting the people to have greater representation, greater participation in the electoral political processes, and it is going to be beneficial for them, because they are well aware about the facts, the day-to-day happening. So when you are you have an awareness about certain the working of political parties, the working of the interest groups, pressure groups, etc., then you will be as a rational being, you will be capable of selecting the best candidate who can govern in a better way. J.S. Mills, this is one of the most cardinal idea in those days. Let's say that he was living through the 19th century, the turbulent times, and during that period, being MP of British Parliament, also he advocated the rights, equal rights for women. So he actually advocated the idea that women should be granted equal rights. Secondly, he believed that it would change the notion of family as a school of despotism. When you are providing equal rights to women, then it would change the society. As you have already studied in Mary Wollstonecraft, that she wanted to translate the relationship between husband and wife from a relation of oppression and subordination to that of a kind of a more what we say a system of more like a friends, like the husband and wife relation should be based on a friendliness or something, like there should be mutual respect. So, and she connected that like what we say happy married life connected to good parentship and parenthood, and good parenthood she like connected it with that of good citizenship as well. So here you can see that happy family, happy parenthood, and then good citizenship. And all these features were essential for good democracy. So similarly, here J.S. Mill also has mentioned about the idea that if there is equality among the sexes or equality among men and women, then it would actually change the notion of family as a school of despotism to that of a mutual respect, to that of what we call it as a kind of a more peaceful living, and it will definitely benefit the society. And what these are his famous lines: doubling of the mass of mental faculties. When women are allowed to study in universities, they are allowed to choose the profession of their choice, and what will happen is that it is going to double the mass of mental faculties, because you are allowing them to do something for what they like. So it is going to give us more professionals, more intellectual people around, and it is going to be beneficial for the family, to the society, as well as for the state itself. And the last line, and that is better influence on the mankind. In this way, when there is no violence between the sexes, where there is the marriage is based on mutual respect, happiness, and then after, it is definitely going to be beneficial. If women are allowed to study, they are allowed to choose the professions of their choice, then definitely it is going to help the society to prosper. Automatically, the state will also prosper. So students, that's all in this lecture. Stay tuned. See you in another lecture. Bye.